Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Daysofourlives, June 10, 2025. So we're into part two of John's funeral, and it was definitely a beautiful episode. So much words jump out to me about John. Brave, hero, an avid baseball fan, somebody that will lay down his life for his family and his friends. It was just a beautiful tribute from beginning to the end, and it just really hits home to me because in real life, Drake died from pancreatic cancer. I lost my grandma almost, I could say, 16 years ago from pancreatic cancer. And I know how devastating it was, how harsh that form of cancer was. And I can imagine what his family and loved ones went through, and even the cast. And, you know, my heart goes out to all of them because I definitely can relate to that. But let's get into the episode. We see everybody's kind of like talking to each other. We see Chanel talking to Tate and how, they're, just remembering how John was and, the kind of guy he was. And Chanel asked Tate what's going on with the baby, what's going on with adoption. So he said that they're on the final stretch. They were touring the maternity ward the other day, and don't find nobody to adopt the baby yet. So they're kind of on crunch time because Sophia's due to give birth anytime soon, and they need somebody to really be. They need a suitable family to raise their little one, right? So Chanel is just there thinking. So I don't know what happened with the conversation, if they're going to, reopen the adoption thing because Johnny's on board now. So let's see. Marlena and Johnny are talking, and Johnny was telling her that he checked in with the technical team and that the live stream is gonna be fine for everybody who can't make it to just pay their last respects to Grandpa John. So she appreciates that. So she asks him how is he doing. So he's like, you don't need to ask about me. How are you doing? How are you holding up? So she said, I'm good. You know, where just have to be there and just know that John has so much love around him and all of that. So he's, she asks him about how's he doing, has he having a chance to repair the relationship with his dad. So he's like, I really don't want to talk about my dad right here at this ceremony. We're here to honor John, a remarkable man, an honest man. So he doesn't really want to talk about his father at all. Steve and Abe are also talking about John and how he was on Black Patch, how he was as a police officer back in the day, and how, they worked together really well. And I think Steve was telling him that Black Patch won't be the same without John, and that he's, retiring from it all. And that was really it. They were just remembering how John was to the both of them, how John would you know always want to go on some kind of adventure, and he always was super committed to any position that he got. So before the ceremony really began, Rachel was saying that she doesn't think that she can really sit through the ceremony. She doesn't feel like she's ready to say goodbye to Grandpa John, and Marlena understands her because she's not ready either. But she tells Rachel that, look, he is among us now. Don't think of it as a goodbye, but just think that, he's watching over us and all of that. So she gave her, the baseball card that he treasured really well, and Brady was offering to take her home, but Tate said, let's do that. You need to be here. So Tate and Ariana decide to bring Rachel home so that they can, talk more about Grandpa John and all of that, right? So Bo and Hope are, outside. Bo planned this impromptu, I guess, picnic or date for him and Hope. And Hope was really surprised that he pulled this off because, he's recovering. And, she said, how did you even do this? So he said, with Sierra and Chelsea's help. So anyways, she's not in the happiest of moods, and Bo can tell that something is off. So he's asking her what's going on. She said nothing, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that you're covering. So he's like, no, tell me what's been eating at you. So she said that, John is gone. So he's like, what you mean he's gone? So she tells him the story about how he risked his life to get that life-saving drug for Bo. And Bo is saying that, oh my gosh, like I'm here because of him. Like, didn't he know how dangerous it was? Like, why did he do this? So he's just, emotionally shocked. And he's like, I can't imagine what Marlena's going through. So Hope said she talked to her a couple times this morning. And she said that, she's strong, she's stoic. I don't think the shock has worn off of her as yet. So Brady, boy's like, okay, we need to go. I need to support my friend. And Hope said, you're in no shape to go. You're still recovering. So he's like, he doesn't care what the doctor said. So they go to the doctor to ask her if she would approve of him going to the funeral. So she's like, no, I'm sorry for your loss, but you're still recovering. You're not strong enough to go. So of course, boy's upset that he can't be there to support his friend, and Hope understands it. Hope wishes that they could be there, but she doesn't want to lose him again. She, is asking him to just listen to what the doctor said. Of course, Bo is upset. That's his lifelong friend. So the ceremony begins with Eric officiating, and he started it with a prayer that led everybody in procession was saying the prayer with him, and then he had a Bible scripture from the book of Ruth and talking about, moving forward, letting go. And, there was a lovely rendition of Amazing Grace by Brady. He has a lovely voice, by the way. And then, the tributes came in. So we had Steve and Abe and Shane talking about how adventurous John was, how brave he was, how committed he was to every mission that he was on, and how John would still affectionately call Abe his partner despite Abe not being on the force how long ago. And just, their friendship, how it dates decades back, the type of person he is, the type of person that he is to lay down his life for his friends. And, that was really touching. There was this part with Belle, and Belle is talking about how she was always daddy's girl and that he would always, was always her hero. Even when she was adult, she always knew that he would protect her, protect their family. She always knows that he's the type of guy that, would always like to be cracking a joke or so. And she knows that, they shouldn't be crying, but they should always also remember the good moments, the good times, and have a laugh about it as well. There was also a tribute with Paul. I think Paul's own was the best of the episode because, he was talking about how he didn't know John all these years ago. He found out that he was his son when he was an adult, but he wished he was, knowing him from he was a kid, that he could have been his little league coach. He talks about how avid of a baseball fan he was. Maybe he played baseball back in his past life. He also talked about how, he was very accepting, very loving, you know, especially with Paul coming out and, his struggles and everything. And he's just sad that he won't be there to witness him and Andrew getting married. So he was, really emotional. You can tell that it was really raw emotion. And he was saying that, look, I can't wait to play baseball with you soon. So it was definitely heart rendering. His tribute was definitely the one that got me the most. There was one with Kayla and Roman. They were talking about how he wasn't really Brady biologically, but he was just as part of their family. They were related by heart. And remember when John was posting his Roman Brady and how complicated it was, and when Roman actually came back to Salem, how he settled in and he was a great father figure to his children, and they just talk about how he was feeling upset about not being a part of the Brady family no more, and how Caroline welcomed him in. So definitely was a lot of good, interesting things to know about John. Definitely a great start to his service. Sean came in, Kate came in as well. But that was it, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow.